Alright, it's been a while. So I haven't made a Minecraft video in a while. Mainly because with this new PC, they usually just turn out really bad. But basically the main purpose of this video, to be honest, is I wouldn't call this an episode 1 to the upcoming series, but I'd call it an episode 0. You may be wondering what I'm talking about because I privated the announcement video. Basically, I'm talking about TerraFuse, or Nemesis as it's now called. Nemesis Season 2, where I will be recording once again with some other people. I'll link down in the description everybody who is doing it with me. Now, if you watched TerraFuse, which, by the way, I highly recommend you doing before watching this video, they're not exactly the highest quality videos, but, they're still worth a watch, I think. So yeah, definitely go watch those if you want to actually understand everything in this video and the future videos as well. I say video too much. Now yeah, if you go and watch the TerraFuse series, then you will know about Lord Chicken, Lord Hamburger, and of course the strange banners and the church. Now, me and Kiwi set up a little storyline revolving around these banners and so-called gods, I guess we can call them gods, the chicken and the hamburger. So I have made this absolutely humongous pixel art timeline of everything that has happened, of the entire storyline of the servers, actually, because there's been 3 and the 4th is on the way. Now, I do just want to say I am kinda bad at pixel art, but I spent a while on this. I spent like a week on this, so I hope you enjoy anyway. Let's start this off with the first ever thing that ever happened in the story. Harl lands at Saren's Well. Harl was basically this giant interdimensional god of the void and the universe and every dimension, basically. And he could basically use his god powers to travel through the void over to the overworld and back. When he first gained the power to get to the overworld from the void, he landed at a place called Saren's Well, which was a giant mountain range, and when he landed, all of the colour just went away. His goal was basically to take the colour from every single block in the world. Now, while on this quest to rid the world of colour, he met a chicken and a hamburger, Lord Chicken and Lord Hamburger. He raised them as basically his kids and taught them that what he was doing was right and that the world should have no colour. Now, after a few years, Lord Chicken realised that what he was doing was wrong and convinced Hamburger into ridding him back into the void and taking his ability to travel back to the overworld so that the world would be safe again. They led him into the end and just chucked him off into the void, and he couldn't get back up, basically. He couldn't move back to the overworld, and all the colour came back, except for inside as well, where the sheer power of him landing had rid the colour forever. This isn't exactly an actual part in time, but this is basically a diagram of a concept that we came up with called void distance. Basically, pretend that this is a server, pretend there's another server like right here and here and here and here, just all across here, infinitely. Every server is like a big solar system. Now, these barriers around it basically stop people from traveling to other servers, because that would mean that they'd have to travel through the void, putting themselves and the entire server at risk. So the barriers basically stop them from moving through from server to server. Now, there was a guy called Path, and Path basically had a device called a Void Traveler, which let him travel through barriers. Now, on his adventures traveling through servers, he met a Kiwi. The Kiwi, though, was hostile. Yeah, it was pretty weird. So he beat the Kiwi, crushed it in his hand, only to be ambushed by more Kiwis. This is so sad. Kiwis attacking people. The Kiwis bested him and killed him, Although, if you've ever seen the film Wreck-It Ralph, where like if you die outside of your video game, you die forever. Basically, it was the same thing with servers. He had died outside of his server, so he could not respawn, and just turned into a ghost. Although the ghost of himself and the Kiwi fused together to create Kiwi Crusher. Now, Path, or Kiwi Crusher's Void Traveler, had broken in the fight, leading him to a completely different server where he was trapped forever, called TerraFuse. While in TerraFuse, he met a bunch of other cool people, like me, Hazmath, and Liam. One day, Liam asked Kiwi if they wanted to go end raiding together, so when they got to the end, a bunch of blue tentacles grabbed them from the void. And the blue tentacles were, of course, Hal. Hal brainwashed them both into basically getting him out of the void, and the only way they could do that was with the power of 5 souls. As a warning of what was about to come, Liam and Kiwi put up banners called Voidwoken banners. This was basically a sign of what was about to happen to the server. Now, out of curiosity about the banners and a bunch of other stuff on the server, I made Fuse News. Fuse News was basically a weekly newsletter that I put out, basically updating people on everything that's happened in the server over the last week. Now, one day, Kiwi came to me and said that I have to go and see something that he found in the end, and it would be good for Fuse News. When we reached the end together, we basically found a giant castle. Seemingly a Voidwoken castle. When we got inside the castle, we found a room at the back with a giant Hal statue. And when I went under the Hal statue, Kiwi opened a hole in the floor where I fell down into the void and the first soul was taken. Now that I knew basically the plans and one of the members of the Voidwoken, I made a resistance. The members were me, Bubble, Hazmath, and Liam. Now, everything was going fine with the resistance until Liam and Hazmath revealed themselves as Voidwoken members as well. They killed Bubble and 2 other members, Bean and Speedy, then killed themselves so that they had all of the souls. Now, with all of the souls, they could of course summon Hal back to the overworld. Instead of landing at Sardin's Well, this time he landed at Spawn, turning it all black and white. But Hal no longer wanted to take colour. Hal wanted to take revenge on Lord Chicken and Hamburger, who had betrayed him. Now he instead destroyed the server and took the souls of Chicken and Hamburger, while he took everybody else back to a new server called Trifold, where they would be safe. Except for Liam and Hazmath, who couldn't make it away from the server in time while it was being destroyed and were erased. While Hal was passing through Void Distance to get everybody to the new server, he used his big eye thingy, big brain, and saw using a ability that lets him look into the future that I never ever mentioned before because I thought I'd just add it in just for this bit when we were making the storyline. He saw a server called Nemesis, which was completely filled with buildings and players and mobs. Now, using his epic future-seeing powers, he saw that eventually, in time, Trifold would shut down and would move to Nemesis. So he completely wiped the server of all buildings and players, and the only survivor was a spider. I know it's the stupidest looking spider of all time, you don't need to tell me that. Now, because he literally survived an entire void wipe, he had literally turned every building on the server and player on the server and other mob on the server into void. Literal void. He saw potential in the little spider, who was also called Gregory, by the way, and gave him a Voidwoken banner. When he touched the Voidwoken banner, he was given half of Hal's powers. He had seen the potential inside of the spider and given him half of his power. Now, because of all of the power, his little spider body couldn't handle it, and he was turned to just a head, who then fell unconscious. He just wasn't strong enough. Now, landing at the new server, all of the survivors had got a fresh start, and they were all having fun, and it was pretty epic. That was until Trifold shut down, and just me and Kiwi moved to Nemesis. We got some new members as well. There was obviously a lot more new members than just 3, but the only ones that I built here are Yumai, Luco, and Sol. Now, everything was going good with Nemesis until a new Voidwoken banner appeared. And personally, I think this one looks a lot better than the other one. Of course, the first person I suspected was Kiwi. He was the only one apart from me who knew about the Voidwoken at the time. So I set up a resistance against not even the Voidwoken, just Kiwi, while we put up all the information that we knew about them, along with another new member, Polar. So then Kiwi brought me to the end. I wonder what he'd do. So he also brought Luco and Bobby. Bobby was not a resistance member though. But I pretty much knew exactly what he was going to do, so I was prepared, you know. When we got to the end, we found a really badly made version of the original Voidwoken castle. Now, I won't talk about this one too much, because I've actually made a video on this despite the fact it's pretty low quality. So if you want to watch the video on this, go to my channel and go to the playlists and then click on unlisted Minecraft videos, where it will be there under the name Nemesis SMP The Voidwoken Part 1 or something like that. There was no Part 2, by the way. I couldn't be bothered to make it. But basically what happened here was we found a list of members where it said that the members were T-Man and White Rice and Yumai, all of them being new members in Nemesis. Now, I did not suspect any of them, and I instantly knew that someone was trying to set them up. Now, funnily enough, we weren't sacrificed there. So after that, I kinda didn't suspect Kiwi. Some time passed, and then Kiwi and Luco said that they'd found something in the Nether. So we went to the Nether together now that I didn't suspect any of them. And in the Nether was basically an actually really good looking version of the Voidwoken castle. It wasn't as big, but it actually looked really cool. And then beside it was a giant crane holding Hull. In the lava was a big pit of void, and Hull was being chained up at the castle. Now, I was kind of confused, like, why are they capturing Hull? Have they already summoned him again? Why have they got him hostage, you know? They're supposed to be bringing him back. We went inside of the castle, and Kiwi, damn, this is the derpiest bit of pixel art I've ever made. And Kiwi threw me into a void pit. Of course, he was a Voidwoken member, and so was Luco. They were using Hull's soul and wanted to get 5 more souls to bring back an even bigger threat called the Master, along with his minions. He also then killed Yash as well, leaving them with 3 more people to kill. Now, we now knew 2 of the members, although we knew that there would be at least 3. So basically we just said, don't go to the Nether with them, don't go to the end with them either, just in case. And I thought, you know what, we might actually win. That was until a kingdom, literally an entire kingdom of people called the Farlanders joined. The Farlanders was led by a member named Card, and Card had found out that Yash and I had actually been given full diamond tools and armor and a sword, along with an elytra, 10 netherite ingots, and a bunch of vouchers for Kiwi's enchantment bookshop. And he wanted some of that too. So he basically voluntarily let the Voidwoken kill him. And then Luco and Kiwi both then killed themselves, giving them 5 souls and Hull's soul. Instead of summoning the Master straight away, they summoned one of its minions. There was basically a giant event where pretty much everyone except me, because I couldn't be there because my PC had broke, all faced the minion as basically a giant boss fight. Now, I didn't really know loads about this, but the other Resistance members did. But I still don't really understand what happened here, so I won't go into too much detail. They also revealed the other Voidwoken members, who were Cell and Pizza, who was the mayor of the server. Yash had also joined them after he had been given the netherite. But yeah, after that, there was like 5 of the strongest members fighting against us. So we knew that we couldn't do this and abandoned the resistance, instead making the VRPU, which is short for the Void Robotics Protection Unit. We had basically found out that Yumai had been taking care of Gregory, the before mentioned spider, this entire time. And we thought that we could use him as a core for a super weapon that could free Hal, taking away the soul from them, so that they would not be able to bring back the Master. So we built a giant mech, placed Gregory on there, spider heads aren't in vanilla, pretend that's a spider head. And then we ourselves took the souls of 3 Voidwoken members, those being T-Man, the one who was set up earlier and then decided to actually join them, Kiwi, and Luco. With the power of the souls, the power of Gregory, and a new body which would actually let him become conscious because it could hold the power of Hal, he went to the Nether, broke the crane, and basically went on a little fishing trip for some blue spaghetti. After a few days, because Hal's pretty heavy, he finally was able to break the chain and drop him back into the void where he could be free. Gregory then absorbed all of the power from the mech so that he could be conscious all of the time, leaving the mech to be broken, but Gregory back safe with Yumai. The Voidwoken were officially defeated. As the lore masters, of the server, me and Kiwi basically decided we wouldn't bring back the Voidwoken for a few seasons, because it would just get repetitive. So this is pretty much the end of the storyline for now. I really hope you enjoyed that because I spent way too much time on it. I really can't wait for season 2. It's gonna be a blast to be able to make videos with other people instead of just doing it myself like back in TerraFuse. And I'll see you guys next week.